Alright, this video is about how to do a pause button. I talked about a pause button before in the past, where you press the pause button and it jumps to another room. In this situation, you'll press the pause button and it's going to actually deactivate everything in the room except for the items that you didn't want to be deactivated. And then when you press the pause button, it reactivates everything. So I'll show you how to do that. Let me demonstrate here. Clouds moving there, pauses, and then you press pause again and it plays out again. You see the clouds moving in the background. Pause, doesn't show the clouds, but you're still in the same room. Unpause. So if you want to have the clouds still moving in the background, but if you don't want to show the person, you can do that. So you just go to Add Event, do a create, go to Control tab, grab a coded sheet, and you're basically saying instance deactivate object pause message. So that pause message is this pause that's blinking in the background. So when you first start the game, you don't have this pause button blinking because you haven't pressed the pause button. So you have it deactivated, and then when you press the pause button, then it reactivates this pause message. So when you first initially start the game, you have it deactivated, so it doesn't show the message pause because you haven't pressed the button yet. And then when you press the pause button, it's going to state to activate the pause message, which is the pause that blinks. But it's also going to deactivate the clouds. It's not going to show the clouds in the background. It's going to deactivate that. It's going to deactivate the land, and it's going to deactivate the person. So if you want the clouds to be still animated or moving across the screen, you can cancel that out by pressing the 2 slashes. It's the keyboard that has the question mark and the slash. So you can deactivate it by putting 2 slashes in there and make it green, so it deactivates the cloud, so it will animate on the screen when you press the pause button. So I'm trying to get the screen smaller. Let me keep ratio is the same. Okay, so now clouds are moving in the background. Press pause and see it stops the sound. The clouds are still moving in the background because I deactivated will allow the clouds to move. Press pause again and the clouds are in the same location. Shows the character and the land. Deactivate this and it stops the sound, reactivates the sound. The only thing I can't figure out is how to make the audio pause. the way I had it set up is it just stops and plays the audio. I looked online. There is pause code for audio, but it doesn't work for Game Maker Studios for some reason. So I just basically stop the sound when I press the pause button, press pause again, then it plays the audio. So that's the only thing I couldn't find online to figure out how to do. So if you want the audio to pause, you would have to research it more than I have, because I'm not able to find a pause code for audio for some reason. But you're able to stop it and play the sound. Alright, so in the pause button, I just went to add event, did the left press mouse event, and then dragged over code and said basically to deactivate the person, deactivate the LAN, and activate the message, which is going to be the pulse that's blinking. And this is graded out so the clouds are moving in the background. And if you didn't want the clouds to move in the background, you would just reactivate it by taking out the slashes, and then when you press the pause button, it will deactivate the clouds and then reactivate them in the same position they were in originally when you press the pause button. Same thing with the person LAN, and it would reactivate them in the same location like they never moved. Alright, and then I went to main one tab and brought a change instance over, and this is basically saying when I press the pause button, it's going to switch the first pause button to the second pause button and say yes, perform this event. You want it to switch to another pause button because that way you can reactivate everything by pressing the second pause button. It'll reactivate everything, and then it's going to switch back to the first pause button, which you can click on and it will deactivate everything. So you have to have two pause buttons in this game for this to work. Then you're going to also stop the sound from playing. So in here you have play sound and stop sound. So the original, it plays the sound at the beginning when you first play the game, and then it's the sound name and it's going to loop. And I got that from the main one tab, brung that over and selected that sound, which in this case is MP3, but you may want to switch it to a wave for your Android device, but I think it should work for Android as well. The MP3 or a wave file should work the same. I think the only difference is I think the MP3 takes up more room on your device than the wave file. And it doesn't need to be visible. You don't want to show that red block. And the stop sound, you're just going to go to the main one tab and bring over a stop sound. So you want to have it stop that sound when you... Alright, and so like I said, it's going to, when you hit that pause button, it's going to switch the play sound to stop sound image, which will stop the sound from playing. So it's going to switch this play sound block to the stop sound block when you press that pause button. So it's going to stop the sound from playing, and it's also going to switch this pause button to the second pause button. And you want to perform that event, correct? The depth's at -50. This big white pause button here. And so it's going to go to the second pause button. And when you press that, it's going to activate the person again. It's going to deactivate the pause message, which is not going to show that blinking pause anymore in the middle of your screen. It's going to activate the LAN. It's going to activate the clouds again. and it's going to switch. It's going to switch the pause button to the first pause button and perform that event yes. So when it switches back to the pause button, then you'll be able to deactivate everything again, and then it's going to go. Then it's going to switch to pause button 2. So then when you press the button, it'll reactivate everything. Then it's going to change another instance from stop sound to play sound. So when it reactivates everything, it's going to play the sound again. When you deactivate everything, it's going to stop the sound. So in this situation, when you press the second pause button, it's going to reactivate everything, which means it's going to reactivate the sound. And like I said, couldn't find a code for pausing the audio, so it's going to replay the audio over again by playing and stopping it. And that's pretty much it. So my next video will be about, oh, I forgot about talking about the clouds. The clouds, once it hits a block, it's going to jump back to the start position, and I've already talked about that in my previous videos. So yeah, so basically there is a red line here. This block is for playing the sound, the audio, and then it'll switch to another red block which will stop the audio when you press the pause button. But anyways, this is the block, and I scale that out, so once these clouds go over in this direction on this and it hit this block, it's going to jump back. All those clouds are going to jump back to the same position again. So each cloud, when they hit that red block, it's going to jump back to this position again and go across the screen, and then keep repeating. That's what that jump start position is all about, and I got that from the move tab right here. And then I have a crate which is going to make it move at 3 speed in the left direction. And my next video will be about light. Like when you move your character, the light follows you, but everything else around you is kind of dark. So, and also I want to talk about how to do flickering lights as well. So that'll be my next video. Alright, thanks for watching.